Morning students, today we are going to start a new lesson, that is Indigo, which is written by Louis Fisher. Actually he was born in Philadelphia and he served as a volunteer in the British Army between 1918 and 1920. Fisher made a career as a journalist and wrote for the New York Times, the Saturday Review and for European and Asian publications. He was also a member of the faculty at Princeton University, and following the present lesson is taken from his book The Life of Mahatma Gandhi. It is a portion taken from which book? The Life of Mahatma Gandhi. The book has been reviewed as one of the best books ever written on Gandhi by Times of Educational Supplement. Actually in this lesson you had already studied about Champaran movement in history, isn't it? So, in this lesson the narrator is telling us about Gandhiji's struggle for the poor peasants of Champaran. According to the old agreement, what the peasants are supposed to give them a portion of their harvesting crop to whom? To the British people. So, how they were tortured by the British people, that is what we have to learn in this lesson. Let us begin. When I first visited Gandhi in 1942 at his ashram in Sevagram in central India, he said, I will tell you how it happened that I decided to urge the departure of British. It was in 1917. When I first visited, who is I here? Louis Fisher. When he had first visited Mahatma Gandhi, in which year did he visit him? 1942. Where did he go to see him? His ashram, that is in Sevagram in central India. Mahatma Gandhi said, I will tell you. He wanted to tell him when he felt or when he decided to urge the departure of whom? The British, from where? That was in the year 1917, from India. He had gone to December 1916 annual convention of the Indian National Congress Party in Lucknow. He had gone, Mahatma Gandhi had gone to where to attend the Indian National Congress Party. Where did he go? In Lucknow. In which year? In 1916. In 1916, Mahatma Gandhi had gone to Calcutta in order to attend the annual convention of Indian National Congress. There were 2,301 delegates and many visitors. So many people were gathered in Lucknow. That is 2,301 delegates. What is delegate means? Representatives. And many visitors, so many visitors were there during the proceedings. During the proceedings means series of events. Gandhi recounted means described, a peasant described. What did he say? Described. A peasant came up to me, visited whom? Approached whom? Approached Mahatma Gandhi. A peasant is a farmer. Came up to me looking like any other peasant in India, poor and emaciated. Emaciated means very reduced, and said, emaciated. And what did he say? I am Rajkumar Shukla. I am from Champaran and I want you to come to my district. Gandhi had never heard of the place. It was in the foothills of the towering Himalayas near the kingdom of Nepal. Towering means dominating. Actually, when he had gone to Lucknow in order to attend the National Congress Convention, who came there? A farmer approached Mahatma Gandhi. For what purpose? He asked some help from Mahatma Gandhi. What was the name of the peasant? Rajkumar Shukla. Gandhiji had never heard about which place? Champaran. Where was actually the Champaran located? It was in the foothills of the towering Himalayas. Towering means dominating Himalayas, where it is near the kingdom of Nepal. Under an ancient arrangement, Champaran peasants were sharecroppers. Sharecroppers are the farmers. Rajkumar Shukla was one of them. So they were actually lot of sharecroppers are there and were in the Champaran, and one of them was Rajkumar. He was illiterate, not educated, but resolute. Resolute means very determined. He had come to the Congress section to complain about the injustice of the landlord system in Bihar, and somebody had probably said, speak to Gandhi. Actually, for what purpose did Rajkumar Shukla visit Mahatma Gandhi? In order to say a complaint against whom? Complaint about the sharecroppers, that is, sorry, complaint about the landlord system, where? In Bihar. And somebody had perhaps told him, you speak to Mahatma Gandhi, all problems will be sorted out. Gandhi told Shukla he had an appointment in Kanpur and was also committed to go to the other parts of India. Mahatma Gandhi was not ready to go to Champaran at that moment because he had some other commitments. He has to go to other parts of India. First he had to go to Kanpur, then the other parts of India. Shukla, Rajkumar Shukla was very firm, very determined. What did he do? He accompanied him everywhere. Wherever Mahatma Gandhi had gone, he had gone behind him. Then Gandhi returned to his ashram near Ahmedabad. Shukla followed him to the ashram. Even when he went back to Ahmedabad, who also reached there? Shukla reached there. For weeks he never left Gandhi's side. So he was for one full week, who was following Mahatma Gandhi? Rajkumar Shukla. Fix a date, he begged. He requested Mahatma Gandhi, please give me a date. Impressed by the sharecroppers' tenacity means firmness, and story, Mahatma Gandhi said, I have to be in Calcutta on such and such a date. Come and meet me and take me from there. So in order to relieve him, Mahatma Gandhi said that he has to visit Calcutta. So he asked Rajkumar Shukla to meet him there in Calcutta, and from there, who was ready to visit Champaran? Mahatma Gandhi was ready to visit Champaran. Months passed. Shukla was sitting on his haunches at the appointed spot in Calcutta when Gandhi arrived. So months passed. After months passed, what happened? This Shukla was sitting on his haunches. Haunches means buttocks, at the appointed spot in Calcutta when Gandhi reached. Before Gandhi reaching in Calcutta, who reached there? This Rajkumar Shukla. He waited till Gandhi was free. Then the two of them boarded a train for the city of Patna in Bihar. Then after finishing his works at Calcutta, Mahatma Gandhi accompanied whom? Rajkumar Shukla. They were in the train. Then they boarded in a train and reached Patna. There Shukla led him to the house of a lawyer named Rajendra Prasad, who later became president of Congress party and of India. So he had directly taken him to the lawyer's house. What was the lawyer's name? Rajendra Prasad. But the servants who knew Shukla as a poor yeoman is landlord, who pestered means troubled their master to help the Indigo sharecroppers. So they let him stay on the grounds with his companion Gandhi, whom they took to be another peasant. So actually the servants of Rajendra Prasad was very familiar with this Rajkumar Shukla. So they did not allow them to enter the house of Rajendra Prasad, and they did not know Mahatma Gandhi. They thought that Mahatma Gandhi is also a peasant. But Gandhi was not permitted to draw water from the well. Some drops from his bucket pollute the entire source. How did they know that? He was not an untouchable. So they considered Rajkumar Shukla as a untouchable. So that's why they did not allow him to enter the house of Rajendra Prasad. The servants of Rajendra Prasad, isn't it? Did not allow whom also to enter the house? Mahatma Gandhi also, because they considered Mahatma Gandhi also a untouchable. Even they did not allow him to draw water from the well. Gandhi decided to go first to Muzaffarpur which was en route to Chambaran. So, what is en route means on the way. To obtain more complete information about conditions than Shukla was capable of imparting. Imparting means giving. Actually, Mahatma Gandhi was not satisfied with the incidents narrated by whom? Rajkumar Shukla. So, he decided to go to another place, that is Muzaffarpur, in order to get the more information related to Chambaran. He accordingly sent a telegram to Professor J.B. Kripalani of Arts College in Muzaffarpur, whom he had seen at Tagore Shantiniketan School. Actually, Mahatma Gandhi is quite familiar with the teacher of Arts College in Muzaffarpur, that is J.B. Kripalani. He had written a letter to her. Then they sent a telegram, not a letter, informing her that he will be reaching there and at Muzaffarpur. The train arrived at midnight. The train arrived at Muzaffarpur. That was in which date? 15th April 1917. Kripalani was waiting at the station with a large body of students. A lot of students were also there to receive Mahatma Gandhi. Gandhi stayed there for 2 days in the home of Professor Malkani, a teacher in a government school. Mahatma Gandhi was an extraordinary thing in those days, Gandhi commented, for a government professor to harbor a man like me. Actually, the government employees were under the control of the English people. So, Mahatma Gandhi was quite famous for working in the National Congress. That's what he is saying, that the government professor to harbor, give shelter to a man like me. The smaller localities, the Indians were afraid to show sympathy for advocates of home rule. The news of Gandhi's advent, when the news spreaded, the advent of Gandhi, advent means arrival of Gandhi, and of the nature of his mission and what type of mission is work, what type of work he does, it spread very quickly through Muzaffarpur and to the Chambaran. And the people of Chambaran and Muzaffarpur came to know about it. About what? About whose arrival? About the arrival of Mahatma Gandhi. And sharecroppers from Chambaran began arriving on foot and by conveyance to see their champion. So the people from Chambaran, who are they? Mainly the farmers, started moving towards towards Muzaffarpur in order to meet whom? In order to meet their champion. Who is the champion mentioned here? Mahatma Gandhi. Muzaffarpur lawyers called on Mahatma Gandhi to brief him. Muzaffarpur whom lawyers visited Mahatma Gandhi to tell him about the condition of Chambaran. They frequently represented peasant groups in court. They told him about their cases and reported the size of their fees. Even the lawyers told Mahatma Gandhi about the fees they had taken from whom? From the sharecroppers. Gandhi chided means rebuked lawyers for collecting big fee from the sharecroppers. Poor farmers in the fees and Mahatma Gandhi. He said, I have come to the conclusion that we should stop going to law courts. Taking such cases to the courts does little good. Mahatma Gandhi എന്താ പറഞ്ഞത്? ഈ കേസ് ബ്രിട്ടീഷുകാർക്ക് അഗേൻസ്റ്റ് കോടതിയിൽ കൊണ്ടുപോയിട്ട് കാര്യം ഇല്ല. Where the peasants are so crushed and fear stricken means frightened, law courts are useless. The real relief for them is to be free from fear. Mahatma Gandhi പറഞ്ഞ എന്താണ്? There is no use of filing case against these people. First of all, we have to remove the fear of whom? The fear of the sharecroppers. Most of the arable land in the Chambaran district was divided into large estates owned by Englishmen and worked by Indian tenants. That means, അന്നത്തെ കാലത്ത് land, farm ചെയ്യുന്ന land എല്ലാം and the owner who was that? English people, and they used to divide it among whom? Among the farmers. The chief commercial crop was indigo. What was the main crop they were asked the peasants to cultivate? That was indigo. The landlords compelled all tenants to plant 3/20ths or 15% of their holdings, holding means land, with indigo and surrender the entire indigo harvest as rent. അപ്പോൾ അവർക്ക് ലാൻഡ് ഡിവൈഡ് ചെയ്ത് കൊടുത്തിട്ട് അവരടുത്ത് പറയും 15% of their land they should cultivate indigo only, and the full harvest should be given to the British people as the rent of the land. This was done by long term contract. In a long term contract they made them to sign. Presently the landlords learned that Germany had developed synthetic indigo. ഇപ്പോൾ ഇംഗ്ലീഷുകാർക്ക് മനസ്സിലായി who started making, Germany started making the synthetic indigo. Thereupon obtained agreements from the sharecroppers to pay them compensation for being released from the 15% arrangement. What did they ask? Now the landlords came to know that Germany is cultivating the synthetic indigo. So they want that, started buying that the synthetic indigo. They don't need the indigo cultivated by the farmers. So they said that in the place of indigo, what they have to give them? Money they have to pay. The sharecropping arrangement was irksome. Irksome means troublesome to the peasants, and many signed willingly. So some few people, farmers agreed that the adjustment, and they signed, okay, we are ready to give you the money, isn't it? And those who resisted engaged lawyers. Then the people, those who are not ready, they filed a case. In order to argue the case, they employed whom? The lawyers. The landlords hired thugs. Thugs means robbers. Meanwhile, or musclemen we can say. Meanwhile, the information about synthetic indigo reached the illiterate peasants who had signed, and they wanted their money back. When they came to know that the indigo, because of the the synthetic indigo, the British people refused to purchase the indigo cultivated by them. In the beginning they agreed to give them the money. So now they realize it's a game played by whom? By the British people. So they started asking the money back. At this point Gandhiji arrived in Champaran. അപ്പോൾ പൈസ കൊടുത്തവർക്ക് പൈസ തിരിച്ചു വേണം, അവർ ഡിമാൻഡ് ചെയ്യാൻ തുടങ്ങി. ആ മൊമെൻറ്റിലാണ് who reached Champaran? Mahatma Gandhi reached Champaran. He began by trying to get the facts. First he collected all the stories related to Champaran. First he visited the secretary of the British Landlords Association. Then he had taken an appointment with the secretary of Landlords Association. The secretary told him that they could give no information to an outsider. Gandhiji answered that he was no outsider. What did the secretary said? You are an outsider, you are not belonging to Champaran, so why should we give the explanation to you? So Mahatma Gandhi said that he was not an outsider. Next, Gandhi called on the British official commissioner. Then he visited whom? British official commissioner of Tirkut division, in which the Champaran district lay. The commissioner, Gandhi reports, proceeded to bully me means frighten me, and advised me forthwith to leave Tirkut. Then commissioner was very angry. He asked Mahatma Gandhi to leave which place? The Tirkut. Gandhiji did not leave. Instead he proceeded to Motihari. Gandhiji said that I will not leave this place. Then where did he go? He proceeded. He moved to Motihari, the capital of Champaran. And several lawyers accompanied him. At the railway station, a vast multitude greeted Gandhi. When he reached railway station, lot of people gathered there. He went to a house and using it as headquarters, and continued his investigation. He just stayed with one of the family there, and he continued with his investigations. A report came in that a peasant had been maltreated. Maltreated means ill-treated in a nearby village. While staying there, he came to know that one of the villagers was ill-treated. Gandhi decided to go and see the next morning. Next morning, he started out on the back of an elephant. So he was moving to the village where the farmer was ill-treated. He had not proceeded far. He had not moved far when the police superintendent's messenger overtook means come from behind and ordered him to return to town in his carriage. So, they said that you are not allowed to go visit the village, and he was asked to go back to the place where he was asked to return to the town. He was asked to return to the capital of Champaran, where he said Motihari. The messenger drove Gandhi home, where he served him with an official notice to quit Champaran immediately. When he reached Motihari, the messenger gave him the notice. What was the content of the notice? The quit the Champaran immediately. Gandhiji signed a receipt for the notice and wrote on it that he would disobey the order. അദ്ദേഹം എന്ത് പറഞ്ഞു? ഞാൻ ഈ സിറ്റി വിട്ട് പോവില്ല. I am disobeying the order. He had signed in that paper and he had written it and give it back to the messenger. In consequence means as a result, Gandhiji received summons. Summons means court order to appear in court the next day. അങ്ങനെ അദ്ദേഹത്തിനെ കോർട്ടിലേക്ക് വിളിച്ചു. All night Gandhiji remained awake. He telegraphed Rajendra Prasad to come from Bihar with influential friends. He sent instructions to the ashram. He wired a full report to the viceroy. He was not sitting idle. What did he do? He first informed Rajendra Prasad to come to Motihari with his influential friends. Then he spoke to the whom, given instruction to the people there in his ashram. Then he had written a message to whom? The viceroy. Morning found the town of Motihari black with peasants. A lot of peasants were reached the Motihari. They did not know Gandhiji's record in South Africa. They don't know about Mahatma Gandhi's record in South Africa. What did he do? He actually helped, isn't it, Nelson Mandela for what? To fight against the apartheid. They had merely heard that Mahatma, who wanted to help them, was in trouble with the authorities. Their spontaneous demonstration, their spontaneous march, and thousands around the courthouse was the beginning of their liberation from fear of British. Do you remember when Mahatma Gandhi asked the lawyers, there is no use of filing what case against the British people? First what they have to do? They have to remove the fear from whom? Fear from the sharecroppers. Now they were not afraid of whom? They were not afraid of the British people. They all gathered there and they started a demonstration. So that was the first time they were liberated from the fear of the British. The officials felt powerless. They don't know how to control without Gandhi's cooperation. So he helped them to regulate the crowd. Who helped Mahatma Gandhi asked the people to disperse. He was polite and friendly. He was giving them concrete proof, solid proof that their might hitherto dreaded and unquestioned could be challenged by Indians. He was giving them concrete proof. He was giving the British people the proof, solid proof that their might hitherto dreaded means feared and unquestioned could be challenged by Indians. ഇതുവരെ unquestioned ആയിട്ടായിരുന്നു ആര്? ബ്രിട്ടീഷുകാർ. Now who is challenging the British people? The Indians are challenging the British people. The government was baffled. Baffled means confused. The prosecutor requested the judge to postpone the trial. So കോർട്ടിൽ എന്ത് പറഞ്ഞു? കേസ് മാറ്റിവെക്കാൻ റിക്വസ്റ്റ് ചെയ്തു. Apparently the authorities wished to consult their superiors. So English people, they wanted to discuss this matter with whom? With the superior officers. That's why what happened? The case was postponed. I hope you understood. It's a little boring. You read the lesson. If you have any doubts, you can contact me. Thank you.